You're watching the flat season preview of 2020 here on attheraces.com in conjunction with our friends at the Tote, Kevin Blake and Matt Chapman, to talk you through now the 3-year-old Fillies. And I suppose, Matt, as we look to the classics, a 3-year-old filly who won the Fillies Mile, Quadrilateral, high on many people's lists. I must admit, I'm against her. We'll discuss it in thorough detail through the next few minutes. I don't think she's going to be quick enough to win the Guineas, but you like her, don't you?
Yeah, I really do. She brings back very happy memories of me, of the greatest filly that I've ever seen, which was Oh So Sharp back in '85 for Sir Henry Cecil, who you remember won the Guineas, the most exciting 1,000 Guineas certainly that I've ever seen. Three-way photo, and got up right on the line. And the more you watch it, it still doesn't look as though she's got up, but she did. And of course, Oh So Sharp went on to be an absolutely great filly. She won the Oaks, beating Triptych by distance when they came up the stands rail. She just got beat in the King George. She just got beat in the Jumpon International by Comanche Run, and that was kind of just down to a tactical genius ride from Piggott. And then she went to the St. Leger and won the Fillies Triple Crown. And I see much of her in Quadrilateral. Obviously, it's kind of hoping a lot that Quadrilateral is going to be as good as that. But I thought her Fillies Mile win was just everything I wanted to see. Inexperienced. You clearly think she's slow and she's going to need further. I like to look at it as inexperienced and still learning her trade. One man's good looker is another man's not so good looker. I think she's got a lot going for her. And the biggest thing about him is that she's like this. She was a big, buxom 2-year-old. Like, she had meat on her backside. She's just fantastic. And everything about her suggested she'd get better from 2 to 3. She's almost like the opposite to Pinatubo, in that she just looks as though she's going to be an improver, but she was good enough to win a Group 1. So I think she's very, very, very exciting. And I'd be amazed if she doesn't get better. Like, if she doesn't have a higher rating at 3 than 2, I'll be stunned.
Well, I know, Kevin, you think that she's not necessarily the best horse in that Fillies Mile, despite having won it.
No, and I've nothing against Quadrilateral as such. You know, she's taken a big step forward with each of her starts and did her job in the Fillies Mile. Definitely looks like one that will stay further than a mile. But I just, that Fillies Mile, no doubt in my mind that Powerful Breeze was the best horse on the day. The race things just didn't go right for her. Ended up in front. I think she took James Doyle by surprise, how well she quickened when he passed him. She ends up in front a long way out, and she's just got very idle. She's gone left, she's gone right, left again, right again, and just got nailed close home by Quadrilateral.
Powerful Breeze.
If James Doyle had been able to ride with a little bit more patience, I think Powerful Breeze probably would have won the Fillies Mile by certainly a length, maybe 2 lengths. And she would have definitely been my selection for the Guineas, but unfortunately she got loose there a little while back and managed to fall over and break a couple of ribs. So I don't think we're going to see her until the second half of the season. But look, it's not to say Quadrilateral could be the best of these in the fullness of time, but over a mile at Newmarket, I would have favoured Powerful Breeze. Quadrilateral, Roger Charlton as well. You just wonder, the way he trains, will he really have turned all the screws for Quadrilateral to be ready to rumble in a Guineas? Just wouldn't be a shock to me now if she runs a lovely race to finish 2nd or 3rd, hitting the line hard, and she'll be a short price favourite for the Oaks, and justifiably so. She's just short enough now for the Guineas for one that I don't even think was the best horse on the day.
You might have something to add, Matt, looking at your facial expressions.
Well, I think Kevin has just been... Look, he's stuck in a world of small boxes on the telly, and, he's clearly, although obviously as Zoom is concerned, there are small boxes, but I'm talking about watching horse racing in small boxes these days from Ireland. His mind's fried at the thought of that, because, if there was an unlucky horse in the Fillies Mile, I actually think it was Cayenne Pepper, who, for me, was the absolute eye-catcher of the race, got outpaced and ran on strongly. I think Shane Foley would ride a very, very different race on Cayenne Pepper. And funny enough, Cayenne Pepper probably would have been my each-way shout in the 1,000 Guineas if she was running. But I think Jessica Harrington has, basically doesn't think she's going to win the Guineas. So she's sending over a non-stayer in Millard. But I mean, Albigna and Cayenne Pepper for me are miles better than Milal, but we'll probably get onto that in a minute. But, you know, I can't see what Kevin's thinking about. I cannot see Powerful Breeze ever finishing in front of Quadrilateral, ever.
Watch it again, man. She put her to bed in a matter of strides and then just got absolute bone idle, like really clearly was all over the shop and just got nailed. She was the best horse in that race for all bar 20 yards of it, of self-inflicted vulnerability, and Quadrilateral just got there within those 20 yards, and Powerful Breeze was coming back at her again. So, again, it's not a big knock on Quadrilateral, but I've no doubt Powerful Breeze should have won the Fillies Mile.
I tell you what, Kevin, if you were driving to Barney Castle to test your eyesight out, you would not be doing a long drive afterwards. I can tell you. You'd be going straight back home and saying, look, I've done that drive to Barney Castle, and you know what? I'm not fit to drive to London.
I would have hit a tree on the way out of Durham.
Anyway, look, this is why it's a game of opinions. But what's interesting is I think we're all agreeing that Fillies Mile has got lots in it to get to grips with anyway.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Cayenne Pepper thought it was a smashing run. Was looked to be getting caught a little bit flat-footed. Then got a bit lost in the dip. Then Quadrilateral squeezed her up a little bit and finished off really well. So she'd be very much in my mind as a potential Oaks filly. She should stay that sort of trip. So I definitely agree with you there. And I suppose we have to mention Love. Being there and done it, you know, loads of experience, a really hardened 2-year-old last year for a daughter of Galileo, and she's very prominent in the 1,000 guineas market. She had way more experience than those that finished in front of her in the Fillies Mile. You know she'll handle the track, you know she'll get the trip well. Lovely, solid filly, but where's she going to find the progression from that she probably needs to find to win the Guineas? That would be my main doubt. And I know we can't fall into the trap of saying that an Aidan O'Brien filly can't find this improvement. You think back to the likes of Roly Poly and a few others that looked really exposed and then from somewhere managed to pull this improvement as 3-year-olds. So it can't happen. But in terms of her at the price she is, I'd have her down as a solid each way chance rather than a win chance.
Of course, you've got to mention Love at the moment because your wedding's on hold, Kev. So you've got to keep the buzz going for a bit longer, just a little bit longer to make sure it all happens. But yeah, it was a good one. Just the Charlton factor. Now, you see, again, because you're stuck in small screens nowadays, if you were watching Sky Sports Racing, you'd know that I spoke to Harry Charlton at Lingfield over Christmas time. And the thing that I was surprised about is they never let her down. He said she was on the go all the time, Quadrilateral. And, you know, I have this sneaky feeling that they're not so sure that she's going to be this strong stare. Like on paper, we all think she is going to be this strong Oaks filly. But I have just, in the back of my mind, I have a feeling that they think this horse has more speed than we think. Now, we just watch. They live with the horse, and often the watchers are better off than the people who live with them. But I get that sneaky feeling that they think the Guineas is a real goer rather than a prep.
We've touched on Jessie Harrington, Kevin. Back to you. Can you help us in any way try and put her brilliant array of 2-year-olds from last year in the Fillies department? Can you help us in any way put them in a clear order? I find that very, very difficult, even though I like Albigna best of the lot, but not by very much, and I'm not even really sure why.
Well, in terms of an order, we'll get onto the order, but in terms of where they're going, I think Millisle is going to go to Newmarket and the rest will be staying at home. And I think the rationale that they're using there is Millisle has been to Newmarket. She's proven herself down into the dip. Looks like she'd appreciate a stronger test of stamina than the Chevrolet Park was, where she'd appreciate quite as much a test as the Guineas represents. I know Matt clearly doesn't think she will, and I would have doubts myself. But I wouldn't have her at the top of Jessie's pecking order. She's got a fantastic bunch of fillies. I would certainly have Albigna in front of her, Alpine Star, Cayenne Pepper even. So if Millisle can go and win the 1,000 guineas, I suspect that'll give us a clue that Jessica Harrington is going to have a very big year with her 3-year-old fillies. But with Millisle, it was a slightly funny type of race, the Chevrolet Park. She was never travelling. She came near enough solo up the near side rail and was very strong up the final furlong. But I don't know. That represented a big step up on what we've seen from her before, and I just would like to have seen her do it again or do something similar to it before I fully believed it. So the jury would be out with her for me. And I think Jessica Harrington's best fillies might be staying at home. And Albigna is one I really like. You can make excuses for her out in America. We know what that track is like, and when she was a little bit slow to find her stride early on, it made her task really tough. Shane Foley rode for luck, got decent splits, but the leaders have flown, so I wouldn't knock her too much for that. But she has to be a leading contender for the Irish 1000, which is panning out to be a really strong race, and maybe even stronger than the Newmarket equivalent.
She went up even higher in my estimations, Kevin, after that run at Santa Anita. And Matt, the Marcel Boussac run was a tremendous display visually, a great turn of foot. I think she's really top class. I think she could even be better than Alpha Centauri.
Ooh, that's a statement.
Maybe. I'm not sure about that yet, but I'm absolutely with you boys. It was interesting. I almost lost faith in her after the Moyglare when the jockey said she shied away from another runner, and I was thinking, oh God, there's going to be some sort of temperament issue there. But she proved after that was just a one-off blip. Very soft ground at Longchamp, superb performance. And then in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly, she should have won that race. She finished fourth, but she should have won. She was easily the best horse in that race, beaten 2.5 lengths by Sharing. I was there that day. So like so many, as Kevin said, so many European horses, they fluff the start, they run through beaten horses, and they look unlucky. And she was just a classic European unlucky horse at the Breeders' Cup. But she should have won. And just the fact she'd gone from very soft ground at Longchamp to firm at Santa Anita and had run equally good races shows you that you're backing a horse. If you're backing Anti-Post, you don't have to worry about ground for her. She goes on absolutely anything. And that's by her pedigree, because she's by Zoffany, who went on, quick round, no problem. But she's out of a Selkirk mare. Selkirks, of course, often like a bit of juice. So it's all in her pedigree, as it often is, that she would probably go on anything given a bit of luck. She just looks really, really special. I love Cayenne Pepper. I do think she's better than we saw. Millar's the one of those that I like least, but I'm not really fussed about 6 furlong 3-year-olds. I've never been a massive fan, for instance, of the Commonwealth Cup. They don't really do anything for me, so it's probably a personal thing as much as anything. The sexy horses are those milers for me, not 6 furlong sprinting filly 3-year-olds. They don't really rock my boat, Humpty, and I like things that rock my boat.
Well, talking of which,
Humpty, just as you mentioned Alpha Centauri, I'll just mention her again because she has been a little bit forgotten, I think, because she didn't run after August last season. Is Alpine Star, who's a sister to Alpha Centauri, and I was really impressed with her that day at the Curragh. Look, only won a short head, but was very much crying out for a longer trip, and she'll get that this season. And I gather she's going quite well at the minute. Now's the time of year. Jessica has had all these good fillies away to the Curragh, and there's plenty of rumours swirling about what went well and what went best. And there was plenty of good talk about both Albigna and Alpine Star last week. So I wouldn't forget about her now. I think she could make up into a top class filly this season as well.
Just Hunty, I know you want to come in, but just looking at the betting for the 1,000 guineas. I know you boys aren't the biggest fans of Quadrilateral, but she was a 9-2 shot up to about a month ago. And she just looked like a cracking each way bet for the guineas. She's now top price as I speak to you at around 100 to 30. Around that. That's the very top price that you can get there. Generally 3, 11 to 4, etc. Quadrilateral. Now, I think she's going to beat Love. Milal, I don't think is going to stay. I think she'll beat Dyer. Albina's not coming. And then you're into the likes of Trobo. There's no mention of the Palmer horse in any anti-post list. So
she's going to miss it. She's had a little setback. Yeah. So I think she's middle part.
So I'm just saying from a betting point of view for the 1,000 guineas, Quadrilateral could crash. She only needs one good, really positive Roger Chapman report. Roger can be quite a bouncy fella from time to time. You could just get some juicy quote out of him if you really worked on him. he only has to say, like, you know, this is the best filly I've trained potentially, or something like that. And there's not a lot in there for me.
That's your homework for this afternoon, so Chapman. Get him on the phone, get the quote, put the words in his mouth.
Yeah. I mean, Born with Pride would be a possibility. Got plenty to do this afternoon, Kevin, without ringing up trainers all afternoon. Some of us do have a life, you know. But Born with Pride is an interesting horse of Haggis's. Just one win, run. Might be more of an Oaks horse. You know, the See the Stars colours. But if there is a roughie, you know, I don't know whether Born with Pride will run in the Guineas. I think she's going for a prep race. So I suspect for the Oaks. So I don't think she's probably going to turn up. But if she did, she could be the Kamiko. She could be one of those that runs on into a place if she went. But it's doubtful.
And I'll tell you, Matt, just while you're on that form line, and I like Born with Pride, how could you not? That was a smashing start. Unusual to win a stakes race on debut, obviously. But I'd also draw your attention to the second there, trained by Aidan O'Brien, Peaceful. I think she's potentially a very nice filly as well. Very raw last season. Only ran okay on debut, but took a big step forward and bolted up with Thurles in a maiden after that. And then went over to Newmarket. And it was a lovely run, I thought. Ground that wouldn't have suited her. It's a real good moving filly. The ground was testing there. And just her inexperience as much as anything caught her out. She was ridden quite a long way out. And she was just sticking on. But then she really got rolling inside the final furlong when they hit inside the final furlong when they hit the rising ground. So I think there's definitely more to come from her. You know, wouldn't have a dissimilar profile to something like a Winter, you know, just very raw as a 2-year-old and could improve a nice bit as a 3-year-old. So while she's been beaten by Born with Pride, well, you know, she had a little bit more experience than Born with Pride did going into the race. I wouldn't rule out the possibility that Peaceful could take a right step up this season.
And Kevin, when you look at those markets, you see, I look at a market if like another horse, let's just say Albigna was running, then I think she'd be vying for favouritism, or at least a clear second favourite. And that, for me, sums up the opposition to Quadrilateral. We've got a horse out there who would probably be clear second favourite and could well be vying for favouritism, who's not running. And that points to me so much towards Quadrilateral. It's just, as I say, I just don't think there's much in there.
Yeah, and I suspect that's why she's shortened, and she probably will, like you say, she'll probably continue to shorten. It was that confirmation that the majority of the big Irish fillies weren't going to be coming over. That's probably what's led to her shortening up. And who knows, like Jessica Harrington might change her mind with Mil-Isle. You know, there's fair old barriers there to travelling these horses from Ireland to England and getting staff back and having to do 2 weeks quarantine when they get home. You know, it might just come down to it that she'll say, well, it's not worth it, I'll stay at home.
Yeah, except you're missing out a crucial factor in the persuasion here. And that is Shane Foley, who's a good talker, an intelligent man and part of the team. And he stated, I was surprised he stated it so quickly, but he stated he was not coming over for Newmarket for fear that he would get stuck here. Now, of course, the time the Guineas comes along, that might have changed. Let's not forget that it might be very easy for Shane Foley to come over here and ride in the Guineas, and he might yet be here. But if he's not here, Foley is going to be saying everything to Jesse. That's the horse for the Irish Guineas, Jesse. I don't care how much of a team player people say they are and all that kind of nonsense. Foley is not going to want anyone else to be riding Albigna this season. And he will do everything he can to be on that horse wherever it goes.
And I tell you, Matt, you actually raised an interesting possibility there. We're all, we mentioned this when we spoke about the 3-year-old colts as well. We're all assessing the situation with Irish raiders for these races based on what the current situation is. But I suppose you have to raise the possibility that, you know, and we don't want to get bogged down in COVID-19, but things are looking quite good in Ireland in terms of the numbers of cases and what have you, and there will be increasing pressure for the government to let ease up on restrictions. And it wouldn't be 1,000,000 to 1 that 2-week quarantine might just not happen or be brought to an end earlier than expected. And that all of a sudden would change the equation for the likes of a Shane Foley and perhaps for other Irish-based runners as well. If you didn't have the possibility of having to stay home for 2 weeks after going to England, all of a sudden going to England becomes an option. So while we're dealing with quite short time frames here, I suppose we can't rule out the possibility that things might change between now and then.
And the other thing with that, Kevin, is like in the Foley case, let's say Albigna came for the game. It's a Niarchos horse, yeah? Money is of no importance whatsoever. No object. It could cost £1 million. Here's £1 million. No problem. Like, if you went to government and said, I am getting a private plane, I'm driving, my plane will land at Newmarket, I will then ride in the race, which is no different to any of the British jockeys, and then I will get in my private plane and go back to Ireland. I cannot see how any government could possibly come to any conclusion that Shane Foley has any more chance of being a problem than anyone else. Like, clearly, Foley will not be a problem. Now, it's different going through airports and mixing with lots of people and having to stand in queues, even if you're social distancing. But, I'm only putting that out there because no one, as far as I'm aware, has gone to the government and suggested anything like that. But if you have your own plane and you can land on the track and take off from the track, I mean, where's the virus going to come from?
That's a really good point. It was made by Olivier Pellier recently as well on Sky Sports.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm glad you were listening, Matt, to be honest, yeah.
I was stuck in small box land somewhere.
Yeah. Can I make a point, a betting strategy? And this is with tongue-in-cheek a little bit, but also semi-serious. If you're going to back Quadrilateral, or you want to back her for the Guineas, rather than take fours now, wouldn't you just put an in-running bet in with her on the assumption that these really fast fillies are going to leave her floundering into the dip and she's going to be under pressure at some stage? And she might go to 10 or 12 to 1, quite conceivably. Have your bet then, and then let's just see if she's good enough.
Yeah, you surprised me there, Hunty. I thought you were going to go down the why back her for the Guineas when you can back her for the Oaks route there. But in-running bet would make perfect sense because she came off it fully 3 furlongs out in the Fillies mile. And, while she might have sharpened up in the meantime, it wouldn't be an unreasonable strategy at all, I suggest.
But again, we're going on the basis that she came under pressure because she's slow. Now, it just depends whether you're going down on the route of she's inexperienced or she's slow. You two boys, you have decided, Roger Charlton's watching this, Roger, these two boys have decided your filly is slow as an old boat. She'll be under pressure. She's going to drift to 100 to 1 on the exchanges at the furlong and a half pole. Watson's going to be giving her 10 lashes and nothing's going to happen. And then suddenly she's going to take off because she needs 60 miles. That's what these two have decided, that your filly is slow. Some of us who try and think a little bit more broadly about the game, look at pedigrees, take into account the fact that she's inexperienced, watched her first run back. Some of us feel that she might just have lacked the experience, the know-how. She just didn't know what was going on. I just put that up.
You're saying Roger Charlton couldn't get any experience into her? Badly educated filly, is that what you're saying, Matt?
What a cretinous thing to say. How anyone can take anything else you say on this program seriously, I have no idea after that, Kevin.
I'm just trying to get you to flesh out what you're saying, man.
Well, I'll spell it out to you because clearly you do not understand. Is there a language barrier or something? Clearly, Charlton can get a horse ready, but a horse with classic potential for the future, you're not going to rev up first time. This is not Stuart Williams who's going to get a 2-year-old back from 100 to 1 down to 6 to 4 and to hell with what it does for the rest of its life, Kevin Blake. Please, try and learn the game.
And the Fillies mile was their third run.
Inexperienced.
Let's put down that shovel, Chapman, and we'll move on.
It was nice of you to just throw a slightly darker one at us, Peaceful, in behind Bournemouth Pride, that form from last year. I'm just going to chuck a couple at you, names that I think will be worth following for the future. Fillies that are 3-year-olds, not quite perhaps classic horses. There's a winner at Newmarket called Heiress. She's by Kingman. She's trained by John Gosden. I've got a little bit of a fixation with John Gosden as well because the Queen's got one called Desert Flyer as well this year, and she won at Newcastle. You can check her form out, of course, with the free video on attheraces.com. She could be a middle distance horse of some ability, I think, going forward. So exciting pool of horses. There's just a couple to go at, I think, for the future. I think they'll go well. Yeah,
and I've got one, again, hard to define a dark horse, if you will, Hunty, but Amma Grace, trained by Dermot Well for Moyglare stud, out of one of Moyglare's great mares. She's by Galileo. She's a full sister to last year's Irish Ledger winner, Search for a Song, and to Falcon 8, very good stayer. And of course, very closely related, the 3-part sister to Free Eagle. And considering the pedigree, considering she really should stay well, I thought she was very impressive in her 2 runs last season. Third, first time out, in a really good maiden at Cork, and went to Leopardstown and just sat handy and killed the race stone dead 2 furlongs out with a turn of foot, and was probably in front a fair bit sooner than Oisin Orr would have really wanted to, and got a little bit lonely late on, I think, and only won 3 parts of a length now, but was much the best. And lovely filly physically, and I'd say she could be, where do the Oaks and the likes come a bit too soon for her, I don't know, but I think she'll be a proper group filly this season.
And just one of James Tate, I don't know what kind of filly she's going to be, but he's got a horse called Magical Journey, who won at Beverley first time and just a little novice, then went to Newmarket and was second of 16, big field behind a horse called Mild Illusion. She lost ground at the start. She got hampered at the stalls. She got carried left inside the final furlong and, harassed the winner to be beaten 3/4 of the length. And considering what went on in the race, you could argue she was a little bit unlucky. I don't know whether she's going to be, if she's even a Group 1 horse. So she looks as though she'd probably be more Commonwealth Cup than a Guineas contender. But just in the last week or so, there've been nibbles at big prices for the Guineas. She's only run at 5 and 6 furlongs, so you'd be guessing at a mile. But she is by Night of Thunder, and of course Night of Thunder was a bit of a surprise winner for some over 2,000 guineas out of a Speightstown mare. So, she should stay really in pedigree. I just noticed nibbles at big prices for the 1,000 guineas. No idea whether she's going to turn up, but she's certainly a name just to keep on one side of for James Tate, who is without doubt, one of those trainers who is going to have a Group 1 winner in the next year or two, I would say. He's knocked at the door. He's looked like he's about to have one. He hasn't yet. But James Tate is on the verge of big things, I think.
Matt, Kevin, thank you very much. That just about concludes our chat about the 3-year-old fillies for 2020 ahead here on attheraces.com, our flat season preview in conjunction with our friends at the Tote. And why not stay logged on as well, because there's plenty more content, including a good look at the best of the older horses.